Hey, you made it. Some shows definitely warrant a sequel, like Arcane Series 2 for example, and some I'm not so sure about. That brings me along nicely to Squid Game 2 or Squid Game Series 2. And pretty much from the get-go of this series, I wasn't really on board with it. I don't even know why they made a sequel to begin with. I thought the first series ended in quite a nice, rounded way, and it left it to the audience. It left it ambiguous. But I'm going to get into what I didn't like about the show and a couple of things I did like and just scatter it in. And yeah, let's get straight into it. So even to begin with, in the first episode with Ji-hun trying to track down the recruiter for the Squid Game, something just felt off to me. It didn't make any sense. And it all sort of culminated in that Russian roulette scene with the recruiter. Why, for any reason, would Ji-hun risk killing himself after spending literally 3 years looking for this dude? It just doesn't make any sense. Why would it be worth blowing your head off just to get to the game, just to get to the invite of the party, which he's already told you is in his pocket? Like, it made no sense. They even talked about, oh, well, I could just pull the trigger and kill you right now. Why didn't you? It makes no sense. It makes no sense from the creators of the game perspective either. Surely they'd be wanting to get rid of him. Like, that's the whole purpose. Teaching him a lesson's gonna do nothing. Why don't they just kill him? They're happy to kill everyone else, but for some reason, oh, he got the money, so we're not gonna kill him. That was my first initial annoyance. It made no sense why he would want to risk that much, killing himself, just to get back into the games. I understand it was a big driving factor to get back in and shut the games down, but you wouldn't risk it in that way, because it just makes the whole thing pointless. And you know he's not dead, because he's the main character. It was just ridiculous plot armor, and just felt like it was there for no reason. Second of all, showing Woo Seok where the money was and showing him that amount of money in a pile in a room, I don't understand why he wouldn't just betray Ji-hun. It makes no sense at all. Like, the whole premise of the show is about, oh look, if you show this much money to people, they'll turn into animals and they'll do whatever they need to survive to get that money. You're showing a guy who's a criminal like £25 million in a room, and he's just like, oh, chilling, bro, I'm gonna help you out because you killed my boss. It just makes no sense. No one in their right mind is gonna look at that unprotected and be like, yeah, well, we've been paid a pittance of that, so let's not steal the money. And also, like, when Ji-hun gets kidnapped and put back in the game, how was he paying them? Like, has he just paid them a flat rate to begin with? Like, do you not think they'd be like, how are we gonna get paid now he's in the Squid Game and now we can't find him? Are they just going to carry on looking? Like, if they don't find him within the 7 days, are they going to keep looking? Because no one's going to be able to pay them. Like, what were they thinking doing that? It was just ridiculous. The other thing I had a really big problem as well with is the fact it's called Squid Game and there was only 3 games, and one of the games is a recycled game from the previous series. It just felt like such a throwaway thing to me, and it was so annoying. The pentathlon was actually really good, and the like merry-go-round thing also. I really enjoyed the 2 episodes with that in. The pentathlon was exactly the same as Series 1. It felt like built up the suspension really, really well. That was very, very tense. Like, you actually felt like some of these characters introduced could die, and some of them actually did, obviously, but it felt like back to the roots, back to what was so good and shocking about the first series. And then they just throw it all away by like, oh, well, we're going to vote on who wants to stay every single episode. Like, after every game, we're going to do a vote. The vote's not going to be done in like 5 minutes on screen time, though. We're going to drag it out for like the whole episode and make it this massive thing, which it just isn't. And how does it go down to the wire every single time? 2 out of 3 times it is not going down to the wire. It is not going down to one single vote as the thing that overturns it. I just do not believe it for a second. It's just ridiculous. Are you honestly telling me it's that close between people that want to stay and leave? It just doesn't make sense. So many people wanted to stay in the previous game. How the hell is it the same 2 times in a row? It was just done to have that dramatic effect of, oh, look at me, guys, I don't want to do the game anymore. And it's a draw. It just felt like such a poor thing to do. It wasted so much time when they could have been just doing other games. And this whole, like, let's get into the Squid Game and overthrow the Squid Game from the inside, like, it just doesn't make sense. You're going up against an army of people, and you're just one bloke with a load of money who's been shooting wardrobes in his basement for like 2 years. You're not prepared for this in any way. It was just such a stupid thing to do. The other thing as well, because of this whole voting system, I felt like you didn't get the character development and like actual emotional connection to a lot of the characters. They just kind of felt like side people you didn't care about. Whereas the previous series, for example, the Marbles episode, by the time it got there, you really had that connection to those characters. You didn't want any of them to die, but you knew they were going to die. This series did not do enough games in order to do that. And honestly, people are saying it's like half a series, and I agree. If they'd have said, this is half a series and we'll do the other half next year, I wouldn't have an issue. But this being the be-all and end-all, and that's the end of it, is just utterly ridiculous. It just wasn't satisfying to watch because there was no stakes. You knew Ji-hun was going to survive everything anyway because of the initial scene with the Russian roulette. You can just see the plot armor dripping off him, and like obviously he's not going to lose because he's the main character, but it's just done in a poor way in my opinion. It was good in the first series. You knew he was the main character, but you still felt like there was moments where he could actually die. Other than the pentathlon, you didn't really feel it as much. Like in the merry-go-round, yeah, okay, you could say it, but you always knew he was going to survive. And as for the ending of it, I really did not understand what was going on. Like, introducing number one as a character in the game from the very beginning, you already know as the audience he's evil, so you know there's going to be a betrayal at some point. It was just stupid. I'd rather have just remained anonymous, and then at the end it's like, I'm actually him. Knowing he's the evil one from the beginning, you just know the betrayal is coming, and it just doesn't add anything to the plot whatsoever. And then when they get the guns and they start to escape, obviously the Squid Game people know this is going on because they have the infrared cameras, they can see them hiding under the beds and stuff, so like, they know what's happening, and yet they still let it happen for some unknown reason instead of just killing them. And again, killing Jungbei in front of Ji-hun, what was the point in that? Like, why not just kill Ji-hun there and then? You know he's a troublemaker, you know he's not going to stop pursuing you until you kill him, so why don't you just kill him? Well, you could tell it was just all a setup. Like, they were at a choke point on a stairs, 2 versus 6, and they had the upper hand, they were above them shooting down, and not one bullet landed. It was just so, like, staged and dead to watch. It was just like 20 minutes of watching people shoot at a wall. Like, when the other people that had escaped were also shooting at them, and somehow became, like, immediately trained with weapons. I know 3 of them were in the army, or, like, special forces, but the rest of them weren't. How are they picking up a gun immediately and being able to shoot and kill people, like, without even a second thought? Makes no sense. The same as Ji-hun. Ji-hun has not been shown to kill anyone in the entire series. Suddenly he's picking up an MP5 and blasting everybody with it. It was just ridiculous. And it brings me back again to one of the things I really didn't like. One of the big problems I had with that final fight scene was Daeho and how suddenly he had like his PTSD when it was convenient for the plot. It was convenient for the plot to happen, so he had the PTSD then. I just don't think that's how PTSD works. You're in a room full of people that have been shot and murdered in the merry-go-round one. Why did nothing happen then? In the pentathlon, everyone was being shot right next to him. Why did nothing happen then? In the first game, everyone's getting shot around him. Why did he not have like a freak out then? It felt like it was done for plot convenience and just to keep that character alive, and so Hyeon-ju would go back and find him and actually not be killed. It just felt like it was done very, very forcibly. Like, his PTSD would have already been going off in the rest of the episodes. I just don't buy suddenly he has a breakdown when he's being shot at, because he's been shot at basically already in the merry-go-round. Am I wrong here? I don't think so. Coming on to one of the last couple of things that I really didn't like about the show. The strawberry hat kid with cancer at the start. Like, they made a big deal out of that. They were like, oh, this guy's really struggling, he's not going to be able to pay. He ends up in the game and you see him, and then you think, okay, that's cool. That's quite a cool idea. Like, it's like a messed up idea of he has to do it to pay for his kid's, like, cancer treatment, and he's forced to play the game, and that's how it goes. But instead of that, no, he's dead. Like, what the hell is the point? Why make a plot line like this, a subplot that's actually interesting, and just be like, well, tell you what, let's just kill him for no reason. And honestly, he's just going to turn out he's not dead, because why would they do it otherwise? But it's just so dumb. Like, why would you kill him off there? It's so pointless. And they didn't expand on his character at all. They just drop these little, like, segments in, you think, oh, maybe that character will get expanded upon. Nope, they're dead. Or they don't expand on it at all. It just felt very, very pointless to me. And, like, the mother and son thing, they were a great pair. I really enjoyed their characters, but I can't help but think, like, you could have done something better with it. You could have forced them into a game where they have to play against each other and kill like, one of them is going to die. I know that's probably going to be in Season 3, but, like, you could have just done it in Season 2 and saved us waiting for another series that's going to be drawn out. Probably like, I don't want to play the game anymore, so let's vote again. It just felt dumb to me. Last thing I want to touch on is the guy who plays Thanos and why he keeps randomly speaking English for no reason, when no one else speaks English to him. Like, do South Koreans speak English a lot, or is this just a random thing? Like, I actually genuinely don't know, but to me it seemed weird because nobody else spoke English. It's like when English people randomly quote anime references in Japanese. Is it the same as that, or is he just, like, weirdly written? I was just confused by it because no one else spoke English back to him. No one seemed to acknowledge when he said it in English, so I wasn't really sure what was going on there, but maybe that's just a minor nitpicky thing from me. But honestly, like I've said before, it felt like half a season to me, and I really don't understand what they were thinking. I hope the third series, or the second half of Season 2, or shall we call it, was better than this, or it actually rounds it off nicely, but it just, to me, it just wasn't it. This whole, the money I've got is blood money, well, you're just gonna go and kill people, so why are you that bothered? And also, the captain of that boat where they were trying to find the search party, you could just tell he was crooked from the beginning. It's like so easy to predict what's going on. You could predict number one's going to betray them all because you already know who he is. It just felt very predictable and very, like, dull to me. The captain is obviously crooked. You can tell he is in the first couple of episodes. Oh yeah, I've been looking for 2 years. I know my way around these islands, but I haven't found an island after looking for 2 years where I picked somebody up who was drowning in the sea. You already know where it is. It's just ridiculous. Like, you can see it a mile off. It's just stupid. So it'll be interesting to see how that all pans out and whether they actually ever get to the island to save Ji-hun, but it doesn't look like that's ever going to happen because we're going to have to wait another year now. So anyway, that's been a bit of a rant about Squid Game 2 for you. I just don't know what's going on anymore, so if you made it this far in the video, please make sure you subscribe. It'll really help the channel out. I hope we keep making these videos for you guys. And with that, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.